So on homework 16 it says use I to rewrite the square roots of negative numbers. Way back, long time ago, before they had computers and all of this good stuff, some guy named Euler thought it'd be really fun if you could do more math. But if you try to do the square root of a negative 33 on your calculator, you get a math error. You can't really do a square root of a negative number. So he decided to do this. He said he was going to have the imaginary number I equal the square root of negative 1. So that if there was a negative under the square root, he could take it out and then he could do more math. How fun, huh? So if I have the square root of negative 33, because there's a negative underneath there, what I'm going to do is just take the I out. I'm going to put it in front and write it as I square root of 33. Now, just like with our other square roots, if we could simplify farther than that, we would, but with 33, we can't do much with 33. There aren't any perfect squares that divide into 33. So that's all we can do to simplify this one.
So that's the answer?
That's the answer on that one. On the next one, again, notice that there is a negative under the square root. If there's a negative under the square root, we're going to take out an I. So, this negative is still going to be in front. We're going to have negative I square root of positive 64 then. So all we did is took the negative from underneath there. Now this one we can simplify because 64 is a perfect square. What's the square root of 64? 8. So we're going to have negative I times 8. Only we know that a negative I times 8 we can rewrite as negative 8I then, right? Just like with an X, we put the number in front of the letter. And now that one's simplified as much as we can simplify it. So on number 3, there's a negative under the square root. What's the first thing we want to do?
Rewrite it as I square root of 80.
I square root of 80. Now, 80 is not a perfect square, but we can factor it. Remember we did all that square root simplification? We want a perfect square that divides evenly into 80. In this case, if you take 80 and you divide it by 16, what happens? 5. So we say that is I square root of 16 times 5, right? 80 is 16 times 5. And then what can we do with the square root of 16?
You cannot. Square root of 16 is 4.
Okay, so we're going to take the 4 out and multiply it times the I. And so now we have 4I square root of 5. Now we can't do anything to simplify the square root of 5, so we just leave it as 4I square root of 5. So 3 different ways we saw that one. One where once you took out the I, there was nothing you could do to the square root of 33. One, once you took out the I, it was a perfect square. And then one, once you took out the I, it wasn't a perfect square, but you could still simplify it and take the perfect square out of there. We'll get some more practice at that as we work through these problems. But that's where it's going to start. Just simplifying and know that if it's a negative, you take that I out first.